Hey guys, it's GirlGotGame. Welcome back to Cinderella Phenomenon Evermore for our final route, if you can believe that. I've had a fantastic time with this game, and I'm sad it's coming to an end, but I'm also excited because Waltz the Big is our last boy, and he was my number one from the first game, so I'm really curious to see how things are going with my boy, my Peter Pan boy. So, as a quick recap from the original game, in Waltz's route, we learned that the human that our mom killed, that started her down the dark path, was Lucette's grandfather, King Gennaro's father, and that's how Gennaro inherited the throne. We also found out that mom had killed Waltz's family, I think because he was a very gifted mage and she wanted him as a pupil. And this is our first and only route where Dad got killed by Mom. This is just like Mom kills everyone route. Mom killed our dad, and Alcaster became king for a time, shockingly. And then Mom killed Alcaster, so that didn't last very long. Waltz killed Mithros. Parfait killed our mom. And though she survived that encounter, she started to fade away after that, and so Parfait is dead in this ending. The Fairytale Curses were gone. Fritz got cured and was no longer Lucette's personal knight, so he hadn't run away. We didn't have to go find him. We just broke his curse right off the bat. What else? Anise was training under Chevalier, which we've seen once or twice already. Claude went back home, so we'll probably see Lance again. Delara, interestingly enough, was finding witches that were still in hiding from the war, which I'm glad Delara is still alive in this one. And, most importantly, Lucette was crowned queen. So, in this route, we have no advice from dear old Dad, no practice for ruling. We've been queen now for 2 years, so we get to see how the kingdom has been with Lucette as the new queen. Should be interesting. Here we go. Waltz. The Witch Queen. There we go. We got our witch power couple back. Aw, Dad. Oh, look at, man, I forgot how different he looked in the first game. They really did, like, age him pretty nicely in this one. So they're just gonna start right off the bat with, like, a dagger in the heart. Great. Good start.
Protect our kingdom. I will always be with you.
Thanks, Mufasa. I am trying my best, Father, but... this isn't starting off all that promising. In the last month alone, there have been 4 incidents caused by corrupted witches. 4? And the month isn't even over yet. I groan as I sift through the documents in front of me. After so many hours of looking at them, the words have begun to blur together. It has been 3 hours since I convened in here with Delara and Waltz to discuss magic-related incidents around Angielle. We have heard testimonies from various witches, so there can be no mistaking what we have been told. Witches corrupted by the Tenebrarum have been wreaking magical havoc in Angielle. We're actually in, like, a worse situation than Fritz's route? Oh, boy. Well, maybe not worse, but it's kind of the opposite problem. As the bearer of the Tenebrarum crystal, it is my duty to make sure they are punished for misusing their magic. And, as the Queen of Angielle, it is my responsibility to make sure they are punished for their crimes. I told my father I would protect this kingdom, but some days I feel like I am not up to the task. The gloomy thought weighs down my shoulders. It makes me feel small and weak. But then I feel a familiar warmth. Waltz, settling his hand over mine. He flashes me a reassuring smile. He does not speak, but I know what he would say if he opened his mouth. Your burdens are mine to carry as well. I turn to him and whisper softly beneath my breath. Thank you. Aww! starting off with that pose! Waltz, that pose does things to me you don't understand. Waltz just nods as we turn back to the conversation. Even just a cursory interrogation shows that these witches are Hildir's followers. Mother, even after your death, we still feel the effects of your corruption.
Right now, the best thing to do is tighten security and add more witches to the kingdom patrols.
I will do as you command, Lord Waltz. Lord Waltz, eh? Calmly, Waltz designates duties to the witches we currently have employed at the palace. For the last 2 years, I have been trying to mend the relationship between witches and humans. I expected the number of human hate crimes to have dwindled by now, but this is not the case. I am not doing enough. I eventually dismiss the witches with a wave of my hand, but Delora and Waltz remain. I let out an exasperated sigh as I set my chin on the table. Oh. Tired? I am fine.
Lucette has been running herself dry.
I bolt upright with a frown. Trouble in paradise?
The nightmares are starting to get bad again.
You did not have to tell her that, Waltz. But Mom's gotta know. Let Mom help. The nightmares Waltz is referring to are a side effect of being the Tenebrarum Bearer. When it is overfilled with negativity, those negative emotions plague me in the form of nightmares. The only way to deal with those nightmares is to balance out the crystallum, and that requires finding and dealing with the major source of negativity. How are things between you and the new Lucis Bearer in this one? Waltz shakes his head.
You know I only ever tell on you because I'm worried.
The last thing I need is to be lectured by an overbearing witch right now. I'm not going to baby you, Lucette. But you know I'm always here when the going gets tough. I sympathize with you truly. Being both the bearer and the queen is a colossal responsibility. It would take its toll on anyone. Still, you need to take better care of yourself. Otherwise, you're going to worry the rest of us to death. I have already said multiple times you all are better off not worrying about me. Dolores snorts. Huh, as if we could ever just ignore you. Parfait left you in my care, Lucette. It's my responsibility to watch over you, whether you like it or not. I am fine, Delora. I just need to rest. Delora turns to Waltz. You ought to pamper your soon-to-be wife more, Waltz. Are we already engaged? Psst, guys, are we already engaged? Could we potentially get another wedding? Guys. Waltz laughs softly, sheepishly.
I try, but you know how stubborn Lucette can be when she sets her mind on a goal.
Then try harder. Waltz salutes. Aye, aye, ma'am. Basically.
Yes, ma'am.
The banter brings the briefest of smiles to my face. Speaking of, any news on the marriage? You've put off the wedding ceremony many times now. You know the reasons why. Oh. I know you're busy, but the least you can do is treat yourself to a wedding. She clicks her tongue. You gotta make time for these things, girl. Or are you planning on making Waltz wait forever? Waltz smiles.
I'm happy to wait forever if I need to. The ceremony has never mattered.
He reaches out to squeeze my hand.
The important thing is that we're together.
My heart trembles at his soft smile. No, Delora is right. I should not keep putting this off. I want to call you my husband. Waltz leans down to plant a kiss on my forehead. So sweet.
How many years did I wait for you to find me again, Lucette? I'm in no hurry to get married. There are other people in this kingdom who need you a lot more.
You two really need to learn how to put yourselves first for a change. I heartily echo that sentiment. Dolores stands from her chair with a stretch. Anyway, I'm heading out. Until next time, Lucette, Waltz. Delora raises her hand in a casual wave as she exits the throne room. The room is briefly silent after she leaves. Then Waltz looks at me, eyebrows raised.
Hey, you.
Hey yourself. Waltz brings my hand to his lips and lightly presses a kiss to my knuckles.
Delora's right, you know. You really need to take better care of yourself.
I do take care of myself.
You do the bare minimum. You barely let me spoil you anymore.
You spoil me all the time.
Not nearly as much as I'd like.
Waltz glances furtively toward the doors, then smiles, a mischievous smile that makes my heart flutter.
Come here.
He pulls me out of my chair and into his lap, where he traps me in a warm embrace. Aw, that's so cute. Where's my CG of that? He leans forward, whispering in my ear.
I really wish you'd rely on me more.
I settle myself against his chest with a sigh. The sound of his heartbeat is calming. I've been relying on you too much already. I have been working hard to carry on my father's mission of peace, but it has been exceptionally difficult balancing my responsibilities as both the Tenebrarum Bearer and Queen of Angielle. I do not know what I would do without Waltz, who has been by my side this whole time, helping me resolve Tenebrarum-related issues. In addition, he has also been making time to better understand the kingdom's policies, so that he can someday step in to rule beside me. Waltz, the King of Angielle. The thought of us ruling side by side warms my heart. Still, Waltz talks about me overworking myself when he is definitely working just as hard. I have just begun to relax when I stop, realizing suddenly that I have a meeting with the royal advisors. Today's meeting is about the importing of minerals and coals from the kingdom of Sadel. I slide off of Waltz's lap with a sigh. The advisors will be here soon.
Already?
I settle my hands on my hips. Don't you have your magic lessons now as well? On top of his other responsibilities, Waltz also teaches young witches at the tavern once a week.
You're right.
You see, I am not the only one who is busy all the time.
Great minds stress alike, I guess.
In this case. He shakes his head.
I feel like I barely get to have you to myself these days.
I can't help it. The past few months have been very busy. Waltz rises to his feet.
How long will this meeting run? I can wait up for you tonight. Maybe we can relax with some tea.
I hesitate. The last time I told Waltz to wait up for me, I worked until morning and he was sleepless. Since we now share the same bedroom, he often loses sleep because of me. But I miss spending time with him alone. Perhaps I can wrap things up earlier today. Yeah, you gotta make time for this. You don't even have time for your wedding. You gotta have time for tea at the very least. So long as you do not mind. Waltz cups my cheek. Briefly, he presses his forehead to mine.
I never mind.
If I take too long. Waltz presses a finger to my lips.
No disclaimers. I will wait for you.
Thank you, Waltz. Ah, the blush. I plant a quick kiss on his lips. I'll see you later, Waltz.
See you later, little star.
I forgot about Little Star. How did I forget Little Star? Oh, man. Waltz flashes one last smile before leaving the throne room. Hours later, I find myself trailing the advisors as we walk through town to visit the stalls of traveling merchants. And here I thought we'd just be having a quick conversation in the throne room. I'm sorry, Waltz. It looks as if I'll be staying out late today. No, I wanted to make the tea thing happen. A new type of coal? Yes, Your Majesty. Apparently, the neighboring kingdom of Sadel recently discovered a new type of magic-infused coal that gives off an impressive amount of energy. It's also safe for the environment. Truth be told, we have had less interactions with Sadel than we ever did with Brigantia. Their kingdom is more difficult to reach, so our merchants and nobility have not done much business with them. But it would be foolish to turn away from this opportunity to expand our trading with Sadel now. They call it the Rakite coal. I believe it would be beneficial to import it to Angielle.
The downside, naturally, is that the recently discovered coal is extremely expensive.
Still, I think the benefits outweigh the cons. They say the coal can burn all night. Our own coal only lasts several hours. The Rakite coal may be expensive, but it will cut down on consumption. Maybe even halve it. So in the end, we will be spending around the same amount for a more efficient energy source. Precisely.
I think it would behoove Her Majesty to see the impact of this coal with her own eyes.
But of course, I have already ordered a few samples.
May I ask permission to speak, Your Majesty?
I am surprised when one of the knights guarding the room raises his voice in question. Permission granted.
I was in town yesterday and chanced upon a merchant from Sadel showcasing samples of the coal.
What a marvelous coincidence!
A convenient coincidence.
Then let us go take a look at this sample.
Are you sure, Your Majesty? It's getting dark.
Then we must make haste before they close their shop for the day. The advisors looked bewildered. But, Your Majesty, it would be no problem at all to have the samples delivered.
A delivery would be much simpler than an excursion into town, surely.
I know they must be thinking there is no reason for us to go out of our way for this simple errand. No doubt they are used to servants retrieving things for them. It is fine. I would like the fresh air. The advisors look disgruntled, but neither of them complains. They are here to make an argument, after all. For them to dismiss my preference would hardly be in their favor. Besides, the last thing I need is for this discussion to carry on into tomorrow. It is about timeliness, of course, but even more than that, I really needed some fresh air. It has been a long time since I stepped foot outside the palace. We find the merchant selling the coal quickly enough. When he hears of our visit, he clears his stall early and leads us to his inn room instead, where he can better demonstrate the burning effects of the coal. I am amazed by the lack of ashes at the end of the demonstration. In the end, I decide to take a chance on the coal, starting first with a small order. Perhaps it will help us save some gold in the future. As soon as you sign the documents, please pass them on to me for processing, Your Majesty. I shall. The advisors bow and take their leave. I wonder how quickly I can sign all of these.
Shall we go, Your Majesty?
I allow the knight to lead me back to my carriage.
Wait!
Oh! What are you doing here? Did you have to go out to buy some tea? I turn on my heels and am shocked to see Waltz approaching. He stops in front of us.
Sir Waltz! You may leave. I'll escort the Queen to the palace.
The knight looks at me, uncertain. I shake off my surprise and nod. Yes, you are dismissed early.
As you wish, Your Majesty.
The knight departs with the carriage. When we are alone, I turn to Waltz. What are you doing here?
Well, you told me to wait for you, but when I overheard you were coming to town, I figured I may as well come pick you up myself. It allows us to spend more time together.
Waltz, you didn't have to come all this way.
I wanted to.
He eyes the papers in my hand.
I also came to tell you your work for the day is done.
But...
No buts. Please, allow me to be selfish just this once.
You selfish? Never.
I'm glad you think so. That means you won't complain about going somewhere with me right now, right?
Oh? And where would this be?
I guess you'll just have to follow me and see.
Waltz winks as he takes my hand and leads me away. Okay. I am surprised when Waltz leads me through the forest and to a thicket close to the marchen. I recognize the place immediately. Is it where you guys had your first smooch? This is where we used to practice magic together.
You remembered. And do you remember this?
Walt snaps his fingers. Golden orbs of light spring to life in the darkness, fluttering like fireflies. Ah, that takes me back. A memory resurfaces, warming my cheeks. Yeah, I knew it. This is where we first kissed.
I can't put into words how happy I was that night, Lucette. I'd been holding on to the hope that we would be able to pave a future together. And that was the first time I knew for certain you felt the same way. That kiss, it meant the world to me.
He steps closer.
You mean the world to me, little star.
He leans down to kiss me, a soft, gentle kiss that makes electricity shoot through my veins. Afterward, he pushes a strand of hair away from my face and plants another kiss on my forehead.
This is better than sharing tea and biscuits, I think.
I couldn't agree more. I wrap my arms around his waist and lean my head into his chest. Waltz hugs me back, setting his chin on my head. I agree. Out here, I can forget that I am a queen. Out here, alone with Waltz, I can forget that I am the Tenebrarum Bearer. The two of us can be as we were before, just two people in love. I breathe in his scent, the smell of pine and leaves, and sigh. For just a little longer, I want to stay like this. So sweet. When I wake up the next morning, Waltz has already left, probably for some important errand. I do not have any meetings for the day, so I decide to remain in my room and focus on paperwork. Sitting here at my desk, I cannot help but remember all those nights Father disappeared, leaving us all alone. He was always talking about being busy. Now I know why. I did not anticipate there would be so much to take care of. My frustration dims to a muddy grief. If Father was still alive, he would be helping me do all this. Yeah, we were lucky to have him for the 4 roots we did. I wipe at my eyes, which are suddenly glassy with tears. Even though I lost Father years ago, the weight of his death still makes me feel breathless some days. It's pretty incredible, really, because we didn't get the closeness of the last 2 years of mending relationships. We only had that, very brief time in Waltz's route where there was some reconciliation. I still remember that day. The day my father apologized to me for being so distant, and the day I lost him forever. I miss him. A knock on my door jolts me from my thoughts. I quickly wipe the tears away. Who is it?
It's me. May I come in?
You may. The door opens, revealing Emmeline smiling brightly. She holds a tray with biscuits and teacups on it. What is this?
You've been locked up in your room all day, so I figured maybe you'd like a tea break.
Emmeline sets the tray down on my table. The sweet smell of fresh pastries makes my mouth water. Thanks, sis.
I even brought a custard Danish. You like those, right?
Emmeline pours us some tea and hands me a cup. Thank you, Emmeline. This is very kind of you. I immediately reach for the custard Danish. As expected, it is delicious. Who baked this? It's heavenly.
Mother. She wanted to treat you to something nice.
I blink at her. Ophelia?
Mother's been wanting to bake something for a while. She knows you've been busy and thought some baked goods might lift your spirits some.
Please thank her for me if I do not get the opportunity soon.
Of course. While we're talking about your workload...
Emmeline props her elbows on the table and looks at me worriedly.
How have you been? It's been so long since you spent time with any of us.
I shrug. There are always many things to be done.
Maybe, but even the king took breaks. You're going to burn yourself out if you work non-stop.
Father entrusted this kingdom to me. To put myself before it and my people would be selfish. But you must learn that you have to take care of yourself in order to take care of the kingdom properly. Otherwise, everything suffers. Emmeline reaches for my hand.
You're not alone in this, Lucette. We're all here for you.
Perhaps, but this is my responsibility. I cannot just heave my burdens onto others. They are all already doing so much to help me.
You should take some time off. Maybe go on a date with Waltz.
Emmeline laughs when I flush.
What? It's been a while since you two went out, right? And he clearly has been missing you. It'd be good for you two to go out to town.
Maybe. Emmeline smiles.
You have no meetings, right? Then you should take today off.
I lean back in my chair with a sigh. Fine, if you insist. We chat a little more over tea before parting ways, Emmeline to the kitchens, and I to search for Waltz. Sister's always taking care of us. I spend 30 minutes searching, but Waltz is nowhere to be found. None of the servants have seen him either. He must have gone to town then.
Good morning, Your Majesty.
Oh, it's you. I was wondering when I was going to run into you. I whirl at the sound of the voice. It is Fritz approaching with his usual smile. Fritz! When I broke all the fairytale curses, I relieved Fritz of his duties as my personal knight. I no longer needed one with Waltz by my side. Oof. Many were wary of Fritz even after I broke his curse. They had reason for it, as Fritz worked with both Mother and Mithros while he was cursed. But he did those things as Varg, an alter ego he could not control. I know this, and I pardoned him for his crimes long ago.
It's nice to see you out and about, rather than locked away in some stuffy room.
Fritz angles his head.
You look like you're on the hunt for someone. May I ask whom?
I'm looking for Waltz.
Lord Waltz. I overheard he was doing a show in town today.
Ah, then today is a puppet show day. Thank you.
Are you going out? Should I arrange an escort for you?
There is no need. I'd like to think no one would be foolish enough to try and attack the Tenebrarum Bearer. I am still queen, of course, and more often than not I will allow an escort for royal business, but it is nice that I do not have to worry about such things for casual outings.
True. Still, keep on your toes, Your Majesty.
Of course. Thanks, old boo. Appreciate you. Sure enough, I find Waltz in the plaza, crouched behind a makeshift booth and telling a story with his puppets. He does not even look in my direction when I arrive. He seems preoccupied. I don't know what to do. Like, if he's not expecting her, he might be thrown off if he notices her watching him. But at the same time, if he notices her walking around town not with him, then maybe... Am I majorly overthinking this? Maybe the key is he seems preoccupied. So, let's walk around town? I'm gonna try this. There's no point sitting here and doing nothing. I may as well walk around town. I glance one more time at the group of smiling, laughing children. Hello, small ones. Waltz always manages to put such a smile on their faces. I wonder if there is anything I can do to make the day even better for them. I'm thoughtful as I begin my stroll. I am greeted by townspeople as I walk through the town plaza, sampling various foods. Okay, so maybe as we go through town, we'll bring something for everybody, and Waltz will be like, "Oh, that was so thoughtful of you, little star." Okay, I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful for this choice I've made. It has been a long time since I treated myself like this. Waltz and I used to visit these stalls frequently, and he would buy me his favorite treats. The candied apples have always been my favorite, though. I must have been unconsciously thinking about them, because I soon find myself in front of the candied apple stall I first visited with Waltz years ago.
Your Majesty!
The merchant behind the stall bows.
What a pleasure it is to see you again.
Likewise, it has been a while. I survey the apples on display. Some are covered in chocolate, others in caramel. Still others sparkle with crystallized sugar, and there are a couple with candied flakes on them. They all look delicious.
Any strike your fancy? I can cut some sample slices for you.
How am I to choose? It occurs to me I could get 2 apples. I could treat Waltz to a dessert like he so often does with me. Or I reach into my coin purse for several silver pieces, which I slide onto the table. The merchant stares wide-eyed. Give me all your apples.
Your Highness, I can't take all this.
It is ample compensation for all of your apples, I'd say.
All of them?
I would like to treat some people. Nice. Okay, I'm glad. I'm really glad. Waltz is going to be so thrilled. Waltz is wrapping up his story when I return to the plaza.
And they all lived
Happily ever after!
I approach the booth from behind. The children who notice me hide giggles behind their hands. Nice. Waltz looks quizzical until I poke him in the shoulder. He jumps. The children laugh as he whirls to face me, eyes wide as saucers. Sorry, Boo.
Lucette.
Hello, Mr. Magician.
It's the Queen! The Queen's here!
She must have used her magic to sneak up on Waltz.
I wish I still had the wild imagination of a child. That's right. You ought to pay more attention to your surroundings, Mr. Magician.
Forgive me, my queen. I didn't realize you were leaving the palace today.
Emmeline convinced me to take a break. I thought I'd walk around while you were doing your show. For the first time, Walt seems to notice the tiered trays I am carrying. His lips pull into a wide grin.
What's that?
A treat for some children I hear have been really good. I turn to the children, who have crowded nearer and are pointing excitedly at the candied apples in the trays. So, have you all been good?
Yes!
The children yell excitedly in unison. Then I'm here to deliver a special treat. Carefully, I begin to set the stacked trays down on Waltz's booth. We hand out the candied apples, 1 for each child, and take the last 2 for us. A traditional candied apple for Waltz, and a chocolate caramel-covered apple for me.
Well, this is a very pleasant surprise.
I wanted to do something nice for the children.
It was a wonderful idea. They loved it. I love it.
Yay! Good. He leans forward to kiss my forehead.
That's my little star. Always so thoughtful.
Not as thoughtful as you.
I respectfully disagree.
His eyes light up when he takes a bite at the apple.
These are always sweetest when shared with you.
I would never think to have one without you. I rise to my feet and hold out my hand. Shall we head back? Waltz grasps my hand.
We shall.
The 2 of us have just begun our walk back to the palace when someone calls my name. Lucette! Queen Lucette! Oh, Anise, hi. Waltz and I turn in unison to see Anise rushing toward us, Chevalier on her heels. You guys are always together. Anise, Chevalier.
It's so good to see you both.
Chevalier looks at me grimly. I know I look terrible. Please don't say anything.
God damn it, Chevalier.
Just when I'm like, yeah, you know what? Waltz is making them plays. Fritz made some strong plays. And then you hit me with this line, and I'm like, how can I pick anyone else for my number one? I'm choking. Oh, I need water. Oh my goodness. Oh, you're the best. Okay. I gotta compose myself.
It's been 84 years.
He laughs when I nudge him in the shoulder. You are as melodramatic as always.
Perhaps, but it is no exaggeration to say it has been far too long since we last saw you. We've been very busy.
Too busy. We barely have any time for each other, even.
But we try our best. Such is life.
How have you both been?
It's been business as usual at the clinic.
Anise is an excellent assistant. The patients adore her.
Everything I've learned from you, Chevalier. You're a great teacher.
Chevalier puts a hand to his heart.
Anise, my heart is sure to implode if you keep heaping such praises upon me.
Anise just laughs at that. She is probably more accustomed to Chevalier's dramatics than all of us by now.
It's just the truth.
Chevalier and Anise have been working together ever since Chevalier remembered he was a doctor 2 years ago. Anise had always been interested in following in her late father's footsteps. I am glad she has the opportunity to learn more about medicine under Chevalier.
You know what else is an undeniable truth?
He smiles at me.
That we owe a lot of our good business to you, Lucette.
All I did was recommend your clinic to a few nobles.
It started that way, but now we see so many clients from all over the kingdom. We are truly grateful to you, Your Majesty.
You know it is my pleasure. I eye Chevalier critically. You are accepting their coin, yes? Anise told me before that Chevalier has a bad habit of refusing compensation for his work.
Don't worry. I make sure he takes the payment. All of it.
And the clients themselves are quite pushy. As they should be. You're providing a service and should be paid for it. Sage wisdom from Waltz the Big.
To this day, I am still completely confused by that nickname. What is confusing about it? It's very simple.
Chevalier,
Oh, yes.
Chevalier smiles brightly.
It's been a pleasure catching up, but we should get going. We were on our way to pick up some much-needed supplies.
That is definitely more important than conversing with us.
Conversing with the Queen of Angielle? Never!
hopefully we can all speak again soon.
A Marchen reunion would be great.
How about a Marchen wedding? Waltz has a forlorn look in his eyes when he suggests it. The Marchen was a sanctuary for him much longer than it was for me. I know he misses it often.
Sometime soon. It's a promise.
We exchange farewells before parting ways. That was amazing. By the time we arrive at the palace, my body is racked with exhaustion. It seems all the days of sleeplessness have finally caught up to me. I manage a quick bath before collapsing onto my bed. The soft mattress makes me sigh with relief. If only I could spend the next few days sleeping.
Lucette.
Waltz, who was in the middle of dressing, comes to sit on the bed beside me. His shirt lays forgotten on a nearby chair. Uh-huh, are you gonna show this, by any chance?
Are you all right?
I am.
You look exhausted. Would taking some of that potion help you sleep better?
Delora has already given me many different kinds of sleeping potions, but they may help me fall asleep faster, but they make the nightmares more intense. The mattress creaks as Waltz lays down beside me. He wraps his arms around me from behind before I can turn. Aww. That's nostalgic too. The minute he wraps his arms around me, I relax. He has just taken a bath and smells like mint soap. It is a soothing, refreshing scent.
Is there anything I can do to help you relax?
Man, as much as I'd love to hear him sing me a song, I'm worried he'll sing Twinkle Twinkle Little Star and Lucette's PTSD will be triggered. So do what you do best, man. Tell me a story. Waltz always tells the best stories.
Let's see.
Gently, he drums his fingers against my hip.
Once upon a time, there was a witch who fell in love with a princess. The princess was the kindest and most beautiful woman he had ever met, and he knew immediately that she had stolen his heart. But the witch did not want to ask for her heart unless she gave it to him willingly, unless she reciprocated his feelings. So he watched over her from afar and wished for her happiness with all his heart. But then,
the princess did fall in love with him. Waltz presses a kiss to the top of my head. He speaks softly into my hair.
yes, and the witch knew he was the luckiest man in all the realm.
Did they live happily ever after? I can feel Waltz's smile.
I don't know. That future is still being written.
A soft silence settles over the room. I hate cliffhangers.
Oh?
Waltz shifts slightly, propping himself up on one elbow so he can look down at me.
I guess you'll have to make time for me every night so you can hear the rest of the story.
Neglecting all my queenly duties for a story? That would be awfully irresponsible of me. I reach up to cup his cheek. But neglecting them for you, that is dangerously tempting. I shudder when Waltz turns my hand and presses a gentle kiss to my wrist. I am the luckiest woman in the world to have someone as good as you by my side. Strangely, Waltz falters. His eyes flash with uncertainty?
I try my best.
His voice is uncharacteristically quiet. It is such an abrupt change that I cannot help but be worried. Waltz, is something on your mind?
I was just thinking about the past.
He settles back on the pillows and closes his eyes.
You remember when we were children? You were my guiding light back then. You still are.
And you were mine, Waltz. You still are. Again, there is that awkward silence, but then Waltz smiles.
I'm glad the feeling is mutual, Lucette.
His eyes are still closed, and I know Waltz well enough to know that means he's ready to sleep. I feel like we should talk more, though. One moment ago he was asking me how he could help, and now he seems ready to shut out the world. I hope whatever is bothering him disappears in the morning. Good night, Waltz. Waltz grips me a little tighter.
Good night, little star.
You got me all worried now.
Dark